Okay, so welcome everybody to day one of the 3-day challenge to align, design and accelerate your life. So who here, let me just start first of all with a question. I can see some of your faces and I know some of you are watching today, or a lot of you are watching today on the replay, but who here knows that they have way more potential inside of them? Just a quick show of hands. Yep, I'm seeing a few nods around the room, few hand waves. Okay. And raise your hands again if some days you actually feel like a little bit uncertain that you're going to live that potential. Have you ever had that thought of maybe I'm just not going to get there? Has that happened to anyone? A few nods around the room. Okay, awesome. So did you know that mastering your mindset is absolutely the quickest way to accessing that potential and to start actually harnessing the law of attraction? Which is, by the way, working for you the whole time. So there's never been a better time for you to be engaged in this, because everything is just absolutely so accessible to us. We have unlimited knowledge available to us. We have unlimited access to each other. So for example, like today, and the systems and strategies that I'm going to share with you across the next 3 days are going to allow you to start making sense of all of this and using it to your absolute advantage. Because I'm absolutely certain that you have the ability to shine way beyond where you are right now. Whether it be your income, whether it become your business, your health goals, the process is the same. It doesn't matter what it is that you're here for. So discovering how to align your goals and your beliefs and your values is where you just become an absolutely unstoppable force. In fact, the past few months, I've had clients from all over the globe that have shared with me that after following these exact steps that I'm going to share with you, they have been able to absolutely transform their lives and businesses and finances, and often in a matter of weeks. There are times when even I'm going, wow, that was amazing how quickly things shifted, because when you're in powerful alignment, so much more is accessible to you. In fact, I had one client who shared with me, it was in our first week, she was actually on the phone in tears saying, I don't even know how I'm going to pay for your program. And then within a matter of 7 weeks, she'd signed over $1 million worth of business, netting 360 grand in income. So gone from nothing to that, upgraded her business, employed some staff, and has absolutely transformed things. So I know that this stuff works, okay? So for those that haven't met me yet, my name is Donna. I'm a mindset coach. I specifically utilize a powerful combination of neuroscience. So I'm currently studying cognitive neuroscience and health psychology, teamed with the world's most amazing and leading transformational methods. So that includes the DeMartini method, also Psych K. I've done a mindset certification course in money mindset. But the real reason that I do this work is because when I'm working with people just like you, and you go from feeling like powerless or stuck or whatever it is that you're going through, watching you break through is what gives me goosebumps. So that's the real reason that I do this. I just love the power of the mind, and I love sharing this with anyone that will listen. So thank you so much for being here. I really, really appreciate it. So my first introduction really into this work was I bought my very first personal development book when I was 14. I know when all my friends were reading trashy novels, here I was reading, books on the power of the mind. I know, crazy, hey. But I remember having a moment when I was 23, sitting in a rental with my boyfriend at the time, who couldn't hold down a job, and I was responsible for paying all the bills, and we were struggling. I remember reading this book. And it said, every single choice that you've made in your life is the reason that you're sitting here right now. And I remember looking around at my circumstances and thinking, did I really choose this? Did I really choose this? Because this is not what I want for my life. Within a matter of months, I'd moved on from that relationship. I'd quit that job. I'd started a job that I absolutely loved, and there was no looking back. But my real moment of manifestation came about, or it would have been about 6 or 12 months after that moment. And I remember I just started a new job, and it was like 100% commission only. I had no money in the bank. At the time, my new boyfriend was actually paying my rent for me, because I was sort of, you know, that's how good things were. And I remember that I thought, like, I've done this before, so I can do this again. And what I really wanted at the time was, I had no money in the bank. You know, money was coming in really slowly. I know that I knew what was going to happen, but it was very slow. And I remember thinking, wow, if only I just had $20,000 in investments in my bank, like that would totally transform my life. I set that intention and I got really clear. And by the way, I had no idea what I was really doing at the time. This was a fluke. But in a matter of months, I went from having like a couple of $100 in my bank account to making my first property deal. And from that, I made my second, then my third. And before I knew it, I went from zero to over $500,000 in net worth, like have a think about that, in a matter of around 6 months. And I remember coming to the end of it and going, oh my God, like this is absolutely amazing. I was also a little bit cocky. Okay. I was also a little bit cocky, and I thought, well, if I've done it before, I can do it again. So it was in my moments of not being able to manifest that I really, really, really learned my valuable lessons. And that actually enabled me to. So when I did it and it came easy, that was valuable. But in those moments where it didn't work out and I really wanted something so badly and it didn't work out, that was the real key for me, because that enabled me to actually reverse engineer and find out what I was doing right, what I was doing wrong. Because there is so much out there. You know, there's so many people promoting the law of attraction and, you know, manifesting and all this stuff. But when I look at their stuff, there is so much that they are leaving out, so much that they are leaving out. So I'm going to debunk many of those myths today. I'm going to show you step by step exactly what you need to do to get there. I can see there's a couple of familiar faces on here. I can see that there's people that are on one of my programs at the moment that are nailing it. So, you know, thank you to those guys that are here. It's really great to have you back for a bit of a refresher. This is absolutely going to be the best challenge I've ever run. So I'm excited. I hope you guys are excited too. Okay, the law of attraction is already working for you right now. Okay, and if you are blaming your circumstances, is anyone here, I know that you're not going to want to put your hand up, but is there anyone here that's like blaming their circumstances just a little bit? Like, if only I had more money, if only I had a better job, only if I had a better body, but whatever it is, things would be better. Is anyone doing that? Come on, be honest. Thank you for putting your hands up. Awesome. Because the thing is that when you do that, you know, we're giving our power away when we do that. And also it allows you, you're not harnessing the power within you to direct your future, because the power is there. It's just whether or not you're choosing to use it. So you're allowing the law of attraction to just run on its default settings. And when I mean run on its default settings, I mean running on old belief systems, stress levels, and it's holding you back. So please don't kid yourself any longer. Don't kid yourself any longer. You are not a victim of circumstance. You're simply a victim of outdated programming. You're a victim of old belief systems that are no longer serving you. And so if also, because if this is not working out for you, and if you're not heading quite in the right direction, you know, maybe you're kind of there, but maybe it just needs a little bit more aligning. Nobody else is going to correct this for you. It is absolutely up to you. Because all this comes down to is getting clear on what you want, understanding that there is resistance getting in the way, and then consistently committing yourself to clearing out that resistance so that you can head in the direction of your dreams. I know, I make it sound so simple, don't I? Don't worry, I'm going to show you, because get ready for some serious shifts here, but the work only works if you work it. So what we are going to do is over the next 3 days, I am going to give you a challenge at the end of each day. I would love you to do it. I would love you to do it, and not only do it, but also post it up into the group. Whether you're watching this live or on the replays, just post it up into the group. There is, you know, there'll be absolutely bonus points for anyone that does post it up into the group, but also it keeps you accountable. You know, we're in a group for a reason. I run these programs in this way for a reason, and it's so that we can connect and stay accountable. Because now, did you all grab a journal for today? I hope that you did, whether you're watching this live or on the replay. I hope that you've got a journal. What I'd love you to write down right now is, imagine that you've already made these changes in your life. Imagine that you're in alignment and that you're heading in the direction that you'd love to be. Where would you be right now, and what's possible for you? Okay, what's possible for you in 12 months? Like, what does life look like in 12 months? Like 5 years? Even 10 years, and how significantly different is that to where you're sitting right now and the path that you're on right now? Because the thing is, keep in mind that, you know, like you look at those big ships, you know when you see the big ocean liners, if they are 1 degree off course over a period of 24 hours, that's actually a fair bit off course, and it does take them a fair bit of time to swing back around and get back on course. We're the same. We don't need to be much off course for it to make a huge impact over time, okay? In the short term, it won't, but given enough time, we can realize that, wow, I'm miles away from where I intended to be here. So what's required is knowing where you want to go. And by the way, for some of you, I know that will be you know, you're going, oh, Donna, I don't even know what I want. Some of you will be clear, and that's okay. This course will cater to both sides of those spectrums. But just 1 degree of course can make a significant impact. What's required is for you to be able to reset on a consistent and regular basis so that you can ensure that you are heading in the direction of your dreams, and that you're in alignment, and that things are happening, you know, life feels like it's happening for you. Okay. So, because you could be doing all the right things, you could be doing absolutely everything right, but if your subconscious is not on board, it's going to be a long, hard climb up that mountain. Okay, the difference is when you get into alignment, you are on the chairlift, baby. Like, that's the difference. Okay, you know, it doesn't mean that you're not going to get there, but geez, it's going to be so much harder when your subconscious is not on board. And actually, some of you won't even get there. Like, you know, I'll just blow, you know, let's debunk that myth straight away. Having your subconscious in alignment with your conscious is where we consciously create our lives. Okay, so let's get straight into it, because today we're talking about being in alignment. Today we're talking about alignment. Tomorrow we're talking about the design, and tomorrow is where we start to get into the 3 fantasies that are undermining you from achieving the life of your dreams. And we really get into tomorrow's challenge is like one of the most significant things that I've ever shared with people on free programs. Absolutely. Like this, what I'm sharing with you tomorrow is a game changer. So please make sure that you're there. If you only watch one other video, make sure that it's today's and tomorrow's, okay? Because tomorrow is, I can see, Katana, you're logged in on someone else's thing, but you know what I'm talking about. It's pretty significant, isn't it? Yeah. Awesome. Okay. So our subconscious and our beliefs, they shape our mindset. They shape our goals. They actually determine what goals we set for ourselves, whether we play it safe and small or whether we actually stretch ourselves. And so much of this comes down to our beliefs. It determines how we are with other people, how we are with money, how we talk to ourselves. In fact, your belief systems right now, in combination with your values, are a direct reflection of your circumstances. In fact, if I was able to get inside your head and find out what your beliefs and your values are, I could almost tell you what's going on in your life right now. Okay, that's how strong it is. The good news is, though, is that you can change it. You can rewrite it. Okay, and however, to be able to change it, to be able to rewrite it, first of all, we need to understand what's going on. Okay, we need to understand what's going on first, because to not understand this is the same as walking around in a waking sleep. So your awareness will just simply hit a glass ceiling. You'll feel like you're blocked, like I just can't work it out. Like, I just can't seem to. If you've ever heard yourself say, I just can't seem to, this is total victim mindset. So I'm going to show you how to bust through this. Because walking around in a waking sleep is very similar to, have you ever jumped in your car and you've driven somewhere and then you've got to your destination and you thought, I can't even remember the car journey? Has that ever happened to you where you're like, geez, like, was I safe? The thing is, if you're doing that right now in your life, and I know that this is like, that's a pretty familiar thing when I speak to people, people go, yeah, I've done that before. If you're doing that on the odd car ride, I can absolutely assure you, you're not just doing it on the odd car ride, you're doing it in many areas of your life where you're just walking around in a waking sleep, okay? It's not just the odd car journey. And the thing is that it's really, if you're in a waking sleep, it's kind of, for me, part of the reason I'm so inspired to do this is, for me, I just feel like that is just such a waste of your precious life to be living that way. And I can assure you that I used to do that all the time, but I can't even remember the last time I've done that. Because when you open up your awareness, when you start addressing these blocks, these resistance, you won't be in a waking sleep, you'll be present. So for anyone that's tried mindfulness and gone, I just can't seem to, the reason is because there's so much more that needs to be addressed before you can be fully present with your world around you and with yourself even. Okay, so, let's talk about what determines our beliefs and what determines our filters, okay? Because really what determines our, all of this, what determines whether or not we're in alignment is a combination of our beliefs and our values, okay? That's simply it. So for a moment, what I'm going to do is I'm just going to first of all talk about belief systems. I'm just going to quickly do a screen share. I borrowed this from Dr. Joe Dispenza. Okay, and I am just going to do a quick screen share. Okay, great. I'm going to share that picture with you. Okay, so you can all see the brainwave development screen. That's what you can see. Yeah. Okay, hopefully you can see. That doesn't matter if you can't read it. I'm going to talk you through it. I'm not sure if you can see my cursor. Now, what you can see in these brainwaves, down the very bottom is a child when they're in 0 to 2 years, okay? The brainwaves are very, very slow. This is the equivalent of being in a very, very, very deep sleep. On 2 to 5 years, these brainwaves are still very slow. And that is also the equivalent of being in a very deep hypnotic state, okay? Now, keep in mind, this is a kid when they're awake, okay? So when you're between 2 and 6 years old, your brainwaves are in a very slow and hypnotic state. Now, if you were going to a hypnotherapist and you had somebody that was exceptionally good at their job, they would be able to get you down to those lower brainwaves, similar to a 2 to 6 year old, because that's where you are the most impressionable. That's where they can actually change belief systems, put ideas in your head. Is that the right way to say it? I'm not a hypnotherapist, so I'm not sure if that's the correct term. But that's where they're trying to get you. You can see ages 6 to 12, that's where you're starting to come out of it. Okay, that's slightly more conscious. And from 12 upwards, our brainwaves become very similar to where we are today. In fact, the black one is in a highly stressed, where you're sort of beyond that. But around that grey area, that's where your brainwaves are just conscious. You're not stressed. You're kind of aware of your world. Now, the reason that I'm showing you this diagram at the moment is because many of your belief systems were formed from 0 to 6 years old, okay? And they were formed as a product of the environment that you grew up in, the people who raised you, whether that be your parents or someone else. And much of your belief systems are a product of things that you were told and also circumstances that you witnessed, okay? Now, I don't know about you, but if I was getting somebody to hypnotize me, I wouldn't choose my parents, okay? I wouldn't choose my parents. It doesn't mean I don't love them, but I wouldn't choose them. I simply don't feel like their belief systems would get me where I want to go. But essentially, that's what we've done. Essentially, we have chosen our parents to put these, to put these belief systems in. Now, keep in mind that many of the belief systems that we're put in there in these early childhood years, we're really just there to keep us safe. Okay, no, you can't have this, no, you can't have that, no, put that back. And what we hear as small kids is you know, like, I can't have what I want, or no, you must stay with me, like, you know. And what we hear is the world is unsafe, you know. So many of these belief systems that were purely there to help us as small children, we've carried into adulthood, not because they serve us, but purely because if we haven't had the awareness to change them, or if we haven't had a big circumstance that's changed them, they're just going to be sitting there dormant. Okay, I'm just going to go back to this. Did that make sense for those who I can see, or even if you're on the chat, just let me know. Did that diagram just there make sense for everyone? Is that okay? Great. I feel like that's a really valuable one, because I want you to know that these belief systems that are absolutely running the show right now were put in there when you were really impressionable. Now, this is something interesting that I learned in neuroscience last semester, was that a 6-year-old will have more neural connections in their brain than a 12-year-old. And that's because we're just sponges. We're just making the connections. We are not filtering. We are not filtering. Everything that comes into our awareness, we take it on to be truth. And then the pruning happens between 6 to 12. We start to prune. We start to work out what's applicable. But between the ages of 6 to 12, you know, you're still trying to work it out. You know, you don't know what's going to serve you into adulthood. You know, we just basically work on a system of what's going to serve me right now. So that is why it is so important for you now, if you are feeling blocked, if you are feeling stuck, going back and revisiting some of those belief systems that are possibly there from the early childhood years can be the most valuable thing that you will do. Now, at this point, I did say that I've got something very special for those that have jumped on today's call. Now, if you haven't, you know, if you've never met me, if you've never spoken to me before, if you've never had a belief balance with me before, what I'm going to invite you to do is to jump on. I'm going to put up the link and jump on, and I can show you exactly what this looks like. And I can also share a little bit about you, with you about there is an upcoming program that spans over 2 months to accelerate your life, where we not only talk about, so over the next 3 days, I'm going to show you step by step what to do. Over that program, I will actually hold your hand and help you and make sure that you get each and every element. So if you're interested in that, book a time to catch up with me, because that will be, that in itself, like, this is by far the best 2-month program that I've ever run. So yeah, worth chatting to me about that one as well. Okay, so we've talked about our belief systems. Let's talk about our value systems. Okay, our value systems are really how we feel to the world. Okay, they are absolutely how we feel to the world. Like, our belief systems play a part in this, and I'll go into how beliefs and values can work against each other sometimes as well. So everybody has a hierarchy of values, what's most important to them and what is least important to them. We all have those set of values. Okay, now when I'm talking about values, I'm not talking about things like integrity or you know, honesty. I'm talking about, like, what is important to you? What makes you feel fulfilled? Is it your family? Is it health and fitness? Is it your career? Is it your social life or something else? So those are what I'm talking about when I'm talking about values. Now, I'm just going to do another quick screen share for you. Okay, so because I feel like this is really valuable for you guys to have a look at as well. Okay, so in the middle, we have our mind, and when our mind is balanced, we're at a 1-to-1 ratio. So when things support our values, you can see the arrow that's going, up. When things support our values, we begin to infatuate with them. And when things challenge our values, we begin to resent them. But when we're in a centered position, when we can see the world in a balanced way, when we're neither infatuated or resenting, when we've got a perfect balance of challenge and support, we can see our purpose with much more clarity. Now, our purpose is really, the quickest way to living our purpose is by understanding, knowing our highest values and having the courage to live inside them on a consistent basis. It is that simple, okay? Doesn't mean that it's that easy, but it's that simple. And on day 3, I'm going to be going through the 8 steps of exactly what is required to live a life that's on purpose. So when we're in a 1-to-1 ratio, we're balanced. 2-to-1, we're starting to infatuate. 3-to-1, we're infatuating even more, right up to a 7-to-1. Now, if we likened this to the beginning of a relationship, when you're in a 7-to-1 ratio, you know, when you're very first start dating someone and all you can see is their good side, you're like, oh my God, they're absolutely amazing. You know, we become blind to the downside. So that's like when you, the 7-to-1, 6-to-1, 7-to-1 ratio, that's when you start dating somebody. On the flip side, the breakup is down here in the resent. And that's when you stop seeing the good side of them and you're really just focusing on the negative side of them. You can just see them as being a challenge. They're not supporting your values anymore. It's time for us to end this relationship. In reality, everybody has two sides and every event has two sides. In fact, everything is in perfect balance. The universe is in perfect balance in each and every moment, but our perception isn't. Our perception is the only thing that changes, okay? So the perfection is there. It's our job to have the wisdom to start looking for it. Because when we start looking for it, we show up into the world in a balanced state and we can see what is truly meaningful and purposeful to us. And we can start moving forward in that direction. Remember when I talked about a ship that's off course even 1 or 2 degrees? Where, you know, over time we'll find that they've really just missed the mark. Well, this is your own personal navigation system. No different to a ship has its own navigation system. This is your own personal navigation system. And in the 8-week program, I really, really, really show you exactly how to use this as a consistent gauge to work out where you're at so that you can constantly be resetting yourself and make sure that you're staying on course and living a life that you absolutely love. Now, the thing is that when we're looking at, when our mind is in a balanced state, not only are we in alignment with our values, in alignment with our purpose, and we can see our soul's vision and mission, but the other thing as well is what's happening with our mind. When our mind is balanced, we're also sending congruent signals to our body. Okay, so our body starts to experience more vitality. It starts to experience way more wellness, because when our mind is out, you know, out in the infatuate and the resent, we start to send very mixed signals to our body. So if right now you are experiencing any signs and symptoms within your body, this is feedback from you to let you know that you have imbalanced perceptions that need addressing. Okay, let me just say that again. If right now you are experiencing any signs and symptoms within your body, this is feedback from you, from your soul, to let you know that you have imbalanced perceptions that need to be addressed to help you live in more alignment, because everything in your world is conspiring to get you to live with greater purpose. Okay, you will never convince me otherwise. I've had way too many examples. I've worked with thousands of people and I've seen it time and time and time again. Okay, so I hope that, did everybody understand that? And I feel like sometimes that's a lot of information to take in. Okay. Okay, so where these two areas can work against each other. So your values is where you know, the areas of life that are truly valuable to us will bring us the greatest sense of purpose. But where our beliefs and values need to be in alignment is that when you have a belief system that is in direct opposition to what is truly meaningful to you, you are going to experience internal conflict. And that can be nasty. Internal conflict, I think, is sometimes worse than external conflict, because at least if you're fighting with someone else, you can walk away and have a breather. But when it's inside your own head, you're stuck with that baby. So what would I mean by that? Probably one of the greatest examples I've had is I had a client who he'd recently in the last couple of years come out that he was gay. Okay, that in itself is, you know, that's his value. That's what's important to him. That's the essence of who he is. However, he was also raised in a very strict Catholic family. Okay, so this was a belief system where being, you know, in his family, being gay was, you know, that was no good. Okay, now his family had accepted him, but only within the family unit. They were still ashamed of him when it came to their friends and to the church and to the greater community. So internally, can you see how he had a belief system that was in direct opposition with who he was, with his values? And I can't tell you how much internal conflict that caused prior to us working together. So that's an example of when your belief systems are in opposition. That's probably a more extreme example, but so for example, if you have a belief that you would love to start a business, but maybe you grew up in a household where you know, we just 9-to-5ers, you know, we don't own our own businesses, you know, we just, you know, we live paycheck to paycheck, or, you know, you don't want to be, you know, making money because money is the root of all evil, or, you know, like there's all these belief systems that we come to just accept, but you don't need to accept them anymore, because whatever it is that you would love to do, all you've got to do is just basically work out which belief systems are getting in the way, and then we change them. It's that simple, really, isn't it? Okay, so now the belief systems also, I've mentioned that they come from when we were a child, but there's another place that they can come from, and that is from a past trauma, a big experience that you've had that was quite unsettling. So they'll either come from just observing and being with, you know, surrounding yourself by other people that have similar belief systems when you're a kid, or they can come from significant events. So just keep that in mind. If there are past traumas in the background, they can also totally undermine you. In fact, keep an eye out, because I'm going to be sharing in an email a story of one of my clients who had a past trauma that, geez, when we cleared that, her life just absolutely took off. Okay, so I apologize, I've gone a little bit over time today. So let's wrap today up. Now, just quickly, self-sabotage. If anyone has ever said, I self-sabotage, what I want you to know is that that is a red flag to let you know that your beliefs and your values are in opposition. They need addressing if you've got any chance of overcoming this so-called self-sabotage. Okay, because outdated belief systems, and, you know, and seeking only support and not challenge, but particularly outdated belief systems is like running, you know, your iPhone. Can you imagine if you were running your very first iPhone with its original software? Do you think that it would be running right now, or do you think that it would be constantly crashing? Okay, it'd be constantly crashing. I mean, I know my first iPhone, do you still keep yours in the drawer? I've still got mine in the drawer, the old fossil. You wouldn't even be able to make a phone call, I don't think, because the software hadn't been updated. You'd be constantly crashing. Now, if that was the case, you wouldn't be saying, oh my God, this terrible phone, it's not worthy, it can't do anything right. You wouldn't beat it up. You'd just say, it's time for a software upgrade. The same is true for you. You don't need to have any more negative self-talk. All it means is that it's time for a software upgrade. That's all. So how much better would things be for you right now if you were running belief systems that were working for you, not against you? Okay, because if knowledge is power, then knowledge about yourself, your values, and your beliefs is absolutely self-empowerment. So if you are serious about this, you will do tonight's challenge, and you will post it up into the group. So today's challenge is to write down your goals, write down what it is that you want, but most importantly, what I want you to do is I want you to write down 3 beliefs that are supporting you in getting where you want to go, but also write down 3 beliefs that are undermining you, 3 beliefs that are getting in the way, whether it be about who you are, your beliefs around money, your beliefs around success. And I also want to leave you with this thought, that your desire to change must be greater than your desire to stay stuck. So how bad do you want this? So tonight's challenge is absolutely going to help you understand and identify these blocks that are keeping you stuck. Thank you so much, everyone, for being here for day 1 of today's challenge. I will open it up now if anyone does have any questions. And by the way, if you are on the replay and you've got a question, just hit reply to the email and I will absolutely get back to you. Or the other thing is you can also post your questions up into the group, and I will make sure that I answer every single one of them. Thank you so much for being here. I'm really excited that you've all been able to jump on, and I look forward to seeing your beautiful faces tomorrow. And you will be sent out the link that you can book that discovery call if you would like to know more about the upcoming mastermind program. And if you would also like the experience of transforming a belief. It's phenomenal. So please take advantage of this while it's here. It's absolutely complimentary. It's my way of saying thank you for showing up. So have a wonderful day. I'm going to get back into enjoying a bit of barley. I don't know if you can see it, it's a bit glary in the background. So thanks so much, everyone, for being here. I'll see you all tomorrow. Bye.